When you want to save more money, there are 3 secrets that you need to know about. I know what you're going through. You're told to skip the Starbucks latte, so you do. Maybe you switch to the less expensive version of your gym membership. You try to save on all ends, and yet nothing really happens. It's frustrating, I know. So I'm going to share with you the 3 secrets that I discovered that will make it so much easier for you to save more money. And I will also tell you what the number 1 mistake is that people make when it comes to saving money and what you can do to prevent that mistake. Now, it took me almost my whole 20s to figure this out, but then once I did, it really accelerated my wealth. If you're new here, I'm Sophia, a doctor from Germany. I love to talk about money, and one important part of building wealth is saving money. And the secret number 1 is that there were 2 types of saving. Let me explain. So when I was still a student, I lived quite frugal. I kept my costs very low. I had a shared apartment, at least for most of the time. I almost never went out eating. I rather bought groceries to eat at home. And I kind of had this notion that I can't spend money on anything, not even for stocks. And I never went broke, which is a good thing. So I always had money in my bank account. But did it really grow? No. And then at some point it hit me. Saving doesn't equal saving, because one type of saving is for purchases. Maybe not right now, but in the future. So when you skip the latte now and the money remains in your bank account, then you will spend it at some point. And this type is what I call save to spend. And it doesn't really matter where you put it. So this can either stay in your checking account and then you will spend it at some point later, or you can also add more attention to this and put the money in the savings account. And then you plan on spending this money later, for example, for a car or for a vacation. So in those 2 cases, it doesn't really matter where the money is, in your checking account or in a dedicated savings account. And it also doesn't really matter if it's consciously or not, because this one right here would be conscious or intentionally, and the other one is rather unconscious. But both ways are saving to spend money later. And the other type of saving is to build wealth. And this one right here is what I call save to keep. And save to keep can either be filling a savings account up for your emergency fund. Now you might ask yourself, okay, why is she mentioning an emergency fund for the keeping part? Because this is actually our, cash reserve that we build so that we can pay for our bills in case of an emergency. And you're right, but the purpose of this account is to be there for emergencies, and when the emergency is over, you fill it back up again. So ideally, this account is always filled up, at least for the most part of time. So this is one way to keep money in cash. And the other way of keeping money is to invest it into assets. Because when you buy assets from this money, like stocks or funds or real estate or currencies or any other type of asset, that is money you keep for yourself and you let work for you. So this one here, save to keep. And when you already go through the hurdle of saving, I think it's only a hurdle if you don't know what you're saving it for. Because actually, when you have a clear purpose for your money, saving becomes fun. For example, I will not buy this bag right now because I want to be rich and this money goes into my save to keep bucket instead. Or I will not buy this car right now because I would prefer another one that is nicer but also costs more. So I wait a little bit longer to get the nicer one. So step number 1, know the 2 types of saving and which one you're actually saving for. And now subscribe if you want to hear the second secret as well. No, I'm just kidding. I'll tell you anyway. But you can consider subscribing if you want to learn more about saving money and letting it grow. Secret number 2 is the dedicated place. Now, this story I just told you about me living frugal as a student. One major aspect of this, aside from the fact that I was saving to spend, is that I was accumulating the money in my bank account, in my checking account. So back then I didn't have the right infrastructure, because for 2 different types of saving, you also need 2 different accounts. Because imagine if you decide that this money is going to be safe to keep, then you need a dedicated place for that. Otherwise, this will get confusing again and you don't know which is which. And separate accounts, save to keep and save to spend, just make this crystal clear what money is for what purpose. These days, you can even create sub-accounts in your online bank account and you can give them a name. Then you can name one of them your wealth account or your save to keep account or your I'm gonna be rich account or whatever comes to your mind. And the other one could be your save to spend account or your fun account or your adventure account. And everything that goes in there will be spent for purchases. And secret number 3 is to make the transfer. The number one mistake people are making when they save money, they're not doing anything with this money. Like me, I wasn't really spending my money, but I also didn't do anything else with it, except maybe spend it later unconsciously. So when you decide to not have that coffee, or you go through the hassle of comparing insurances or phone bill providers or electricity providers, then don't just let the money you save there go to waste. Instead, actively put it towards one of the two accounts, preferably your wealth account, because you want to save more money, which I assume is the kind of save more money to keep. So when you save, at some point, actually make the transfer. This works especially well for recurring bills. Let's say, for example, you save maybe 20% of your income each month, and now you freed up money by switching a contract or maybe also canceling a subscription, because that's what saving basically is. It's freeing up money to keep. And now you also need to add that money to your 20% savings rate, or however much you're saving right now. And that way, you're making sure that you're actually saving more money. It's kind of like completing the process of saving. By the way, I write about tips like that in my weekly newsletter. If you're interested, you can sign up down below. It's free of charge with a huge upside when you implement the tips. And now that you know you need a dedicated place for your wealth account, you will also need to know how to grow that money next. So here's a video about how to start investing for you. Thank you for watching this far. Happy saving, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.